Hurry before the evidence is erased. Commanders Nation. There's poison in Baltimore that might heal our defense. A discarded OLB hungry for revenge? 10 sacks in 13 games? And if Peters doesn't sign today, Dallas snatches him up. But watch out. While we search for broken diamonds, a former protege stabs us in the back. RGIII uses racism for attention, and Ryan Clark tears him apart live. How did we let a legendary QB humiliate us like this? But here's the storm. Terry McLaurin has 72 hours to renegotiate, or Daniels loses his franchise. $30 million is not enough to pay for over 1,100 yards per year. If you miss this video, you miss 1. The secret. Weapon to crush Philly. 2. The immoral move that stains our legacy. And 3. The key to keeping our star. Click now, subscribe, and unleash the bombs that Adam Peters hides before it's too late. Do we risk it with an injured player? Do we forgive? A traitor? Will we break the bank for McLaurin? Your like decides. Check out what's happening in Baltimore, family. David Ojabo, that pass rusher everybody thought would be an NFL star, is on the ropes with the Ravens. I can't believe we're talking about this guy as a possible acquisition. But let me tell you the full story about this guy, because it's a story we should really care about. When Ojabo was in Michigan, this guy was a wrecking machine. In his last college season, he logged 11 sacks and 12 tackles for loss. 11 sacks! Family! That's more than some of our pass rushers have had in their entire careers. Remember when Ojabo was considered a locked first-round pick? This guy had all the potential in the world. Scouts compared him to some of the best pass rushers to ever play in this league. He had the speed, he had the skills, he had that hunger you look for in a defensive player. And then that darn Achilles injury in 2022 completely changed his life. How many times have we seen promising players destroyed by injuries? But we've also seen players come back stronger than ever. Remember, Adrian Peterson. After his ACL injury, remember how he came back and had an MVP season? I believe with the right player, injuries can just be a temporary setback. Now, Anthony Palacios from Last Word on Sports is suggesting that we, the Commanders, should be monitoring this situation. And you know what? I believe Adam Peters should be doing exactly that. Because if we've learned anything in recent years, it's that sometimes the best moves are the ones nobody sees coming. But let's be honest, Burgundy and Gold family. Our defensive line desperately needs help. I'm telling you this. Yes, we have Deatrick Wise Jr., and he was a solid acquisition. Yes, we have Bobby Wagner coming back, and he's still one of the best linebackers in the league. But is it enough to compete with the Eagles? Is it enough to compete with the Cowboys? I believe it's not enough. Do you know what our biggest problem on defense is? We don't have anyone who can consistently pressure the quarterback. Look at last year's stats. Look at how many times we let quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, and others get comfortable in the pocket. I'm telling you, a comfortable quarterback is a dangerous quarterback. The guy only played 5 games in his first 2 seasons because of injuries. 5 games. Achilles injury, knee issues, ankle problems. It seemed like his body was falling apart. But last year, he managed to play 13 games, and that's progress. I always say in this league, talent doesn't just disappear. It only rusts. But you know what catches my attention about those 13 games? That although he didn't have spectacular numbers, he showed glimpses of what he can do when he's healthy. There were moments where you saw that explosion, that first step speed that made him so special in Michigan. I believe that with the right training, in the right system, this guy can still be special. You know what I like about this possible acquisition? It wouldn't be a desperate move. It would be a smart move with low risk and high potential. If Ojabo regains even 70% of what he was in Michigan, we'd be talking about a player who could completely change our pass rush. And let me be clear with you. I believe Peters is playing chess while other teams are playing checkers. The guy is waiting, being patient, but he's also ready to act when the perfect moment arrives. Remember how he got Daniels? Remember how he handled the whole draft situation? This guy knows what he's doing. Look, if Baltimore cuts Ojabo, it won't be because he lacks talent. It'll be because they have too much depth at that position and can't afford to keep a player who's been injured so long. But that might be exactly the opportunity we need. Do you know what the perfect plan would be? Bring Ojabo in on a low-risk contract, put him on a specific conditioning program, and use him in rotational packages with Dominique Hampton. You don't make him a starter right away, but you give him opportunities to show what he can do. I believe with the culture we're building here, that type of project could work perfectly. And here's the thing that has me most excited. Palacios mentions that we could use Ojabo to share snaps with Dominique Hampton. That sounds like music to my ears. Because if there's one thing we've seen in the best defenses in the league, it's that you need rotation, you need depth, you need to keep your pass rushes fresh all game long. Can you imagine for a second, if Ojabo returns to his former shape? We'd be talking about having one of the best young pass rushers in the league for a fraction of the cost. That's the kind of move that separates smart organizations from mediocre ones. Now we've got drama, Commanders Nation. Robert Griffin III is at the center of controversy again, and this time, it's something that's really got me upset. I can't believe what this guy did. And more importantly, I can't believe he missed the perfect opportunity to show real leadership. But let me explain the whole situation from the beginning, because this is deeper than it seems on the surface. It all started with an absolutely deplorable image that began circulating on social media. An image showing Angel Reese, one of the brightest stars in the WNBA, represented as a monkey on the cover of 2K26. I'm telling you, when I saw that image, it tore at my soul. Do you realize what we're talking about here? We're talking about blatant, unhidden, undisguised racism. Angel Reese is an incredible athlete, a young woman who's worked her whole life to get where she is. And there are people out there who think it's acceptable to attack her with this type of image. I believe any decent person should be horrified by this. And here's where RGIII comes in. When this image started circulating, when Angel Reese needed support, when the sports community needed to unite to condemn this garbage, what did our former quarterback do? He managed to make it all about himself. Instead of directly condemning that racism, Griffin used the moment to keep attacking Reese, saying she doesn't like Caitlin Clark. I'm asking you, at what point did he think that was the right response? In what universe was that the conversation we needed to have at that moment? But here's what bothers me most about all this, family. RGIII not only got it wrong in the moment, he doubled down. He said people close to Reese confirmed to him that she doesn't like Caitlin Clark. I'm telling you, that's pouring gasoline on the fire at a moment when we needed water. Do you know why this affects me so much? Because RGIII represented our franchise. He wore these burgundy and gold colors. He was the face of our organization for years. And when he had the chance to show what kind of man he is, what kind of leader he is, he completely failed. And here comes the best part. Family. Ryan Clark, former Steelers player, didn't stay quiet. And I'm telling you, Clark was right in everything he said. He told RGIII he needed to stand up for Reese against that deplorable hate, racism, intolerance, and evil. But Griffin couldn't do it. Clark went straight to the point. He had to make himself both the victim and hero of this story. And I believe that perfectly sums up what RGIII has always been. Always looking to be the center of attention. Always trying to be the protagonist of every story, even when the story isn't about him. But do you know what else Clark said that really resonated with me? That RGIII had to mention that Angel Reese had done something to him instead of acknowledging what he initially did to her. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Instead of taking responsibility, he played the victim. Clark continued. He had to be the champion once again for Caitlin Clark, I guess, against the angry young black woman lying about her and her inner circle. I'm telling you, Clark hit the nail on the head, because that's exactly what RGIII was doing. And do you know what else Clark said? That RGIII is part of the problem? Exactly. If you never support people who look like you, you're part of the problem too. Those words should make anyone with a bit of conscience reflect. But Clark didn't stop there. He went on. By his own admission, he says if you don't support people who don't look like you, then you're part of the problem. Let me be clear. If you never support people who look like you, you're also part of the problem. I believe those words are deep and necessary. Look, I know many of you have mixed feelings about RGIII. He was our quarterback. He gave us amazing moments, especially that rookie season in 2012. That season was magical. The playoffs, the energy, the hope he gave us after years of mediocrity. Remember that play against the Vikings where he ran like 76 yards? Remember how we beat the Cowboys at home? Remember how he made us believe we had finally found our franchise quarterback? I still get chills thinking about those moments. But that doesn't mean we have to defend the indefensible. The RGIII of 2012 who made us dream is not the same RGIII we see today on social media. And I believe it's important to separate the player from the man we see now. Even Darius Butler, co-host of Pat McAfee, tweeted, "Stop the nonsense RGIII." And I'm telling you, Butler was right. Sometimes you have to call things by their name, no matter who's involved. Do you know what bothers me most about all this? That RGIII had the perfect opportunity to prove himself as a leader, as someone who uses his platform to do good. He had the chance to be on the right side of history. But instead, he chose to keep fueling unnecessary drama. Do you realize what could have happened if RGIII had made the right decision? He could have become an ally, an important voice against racism in sports. He could have used his platform to make a real difference. But here's what really worries me, family. This situation shows us something about RGIII's character that maybe we hadn't seen before. It shows us that when the moment comes to take a moral stand, when the moment comes to do the right thing, he chooses what benefits him. And I believe that says a lot about a person. Do you know what else bothers me? That Angel Reese didn't deserve this situation. She's an incredible athlete, a young woman who's worked her whole life to get where she is. And instead of receiving support against racism, she had to deal with more attacks from someone who should understand what it means to be attacked for the color of your skin. I believe as former commanders, we have the responsibility to be better representatives of what it means to wear these burgundy and gold colors. And this was not one of those times. This was a missed opportunity to show real leadership. And now we get to what really matters, Commanders Nation. The situation with Terry McLaurin is what should be keeping all of you up at night. And I'm telling you, this is not just a contractual negotiation. This is a decision that will define the course of our franchise for the next 5 years. I'm telling you this, Terry McLaurin isn't just our #1 receiver. He's the heart and soul of our offense. He's the player who's been here through all the storms, through all the coaching changes, through all system changes. And the fact we still haven't resolved his contract situation is something that's completely frustrating. But let me explain why this situation is so critical and why every day that passes without resolving it makes me more nervous. According to James Palmer, Dan Quinn has been in constant contact with McLaurin throughout the entire offseason. And I believe that's exactly what a smart coach should be doing. Because if we lose Terry, family, we'd be losing much more than just a player. Do you know what Terry McLaurin represents for this organization? He represents consistency in a world of chaos. He represents professionalism in a world of drama. He represents excellence in a world of mediocrity. I'm telling you, players like Terry don't grow on trees. Let me explain why this situation is so critical. McLaurin is 28 years old, in his prime as a player, a 3-time Pro Bowler, and he's not asking to reset the market like other receivers. He just wants fair compensation for what he's produced on the field and what he represents to this franchise. And you know what? I believe he has every right to ask for it. This guy has been consistent when others were inconsistent. He's been professional when others were problematic. He's been the leader we needed when everything was falling apart in this organization. I'm asking you, how many players like that do we have? Now, there are 7 receivers in the league earning $30 million or more per season. 7. Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, DK Metcalf, and Calvin Ridley. And McLaurin, who's been more consistent than most of them, still doesn't have his contract secured. I'm asking you, where's the logic in that? Do you know what Terry's stats have been over the last 3 years? In 2022, 77 receptions, 1,191 yards, 5 touchdowns. In 2023, 79 receptions, 1,023 yards, 4 touchdowns. In 2024, 82 receptions, 1,096 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's consistency, family. That's what you pay for when you're building a winning franchise. Look at what we've built this year. We have Jaden Daniels showing all the potential we saw in his rookie season. We revamped the entire offense with Cliff Kingsbury as the coordinator. We've got a new system, new hopes, new energy. But if we don't secure McLaurin, we'd be throwing all that progress out the window. Can you imagine Jaden Daniels without his most reliable receiver? I believe it would be a crime against the development of our quarterback. McLaurin is exactly the veteran type Daniels needs to take the next step in his career. He's the kind of player who wins you games in critical moments. Remember that play against the Eagles last year? 4th down, 2 minutes to end the game. And who did we throw to? Terry McLaurin. Remember that incredible catch against the Cowboys? Remember how he always steps up when we need him most? I'm telling you, players like that are invaluable. And here's what has me optimistic, family. The fact that Quinn is maintaining that constant communication tells me the organization understands how important Terry is to our future. I believe they'll reach a deal before training camp starts because they have to. But let's be realistic for a second. If this situation drags into training camp, we'd be entering dangerous territory. I always say unresolved contracts are like ticking time bombs that can explode at any moment. Do you know what else worries me? That while we're negotiating, other teams are looking at this situation and thinking, what if McLaurin gets tired of waiting? And I'm telling you, that can't happen. We can't let other teams start thinking of Terry as a possibility. McLaurin has proven to be exactly the type of player that builds winning cultures. He's professional, talented, a natural leader. He doesn't create drama, doesn't ask for trades, doesn't complain on social media. He just goes, does his job, and produces year after year. Do you know what kind of message we'd be sending if we let McLaurin go? We'd be telling the rest of the league that we don't value loyalty, we don't value consistency, we don't value professionalism. I believe that would be the wrong message at the wrong time. I believe Adam Peters understands this. The guy has made smart moves all offseason, has shown he knows what he's doing. The acquisition of Daniels, the changes in the coaching staff, the building of a winning culture. But this is the most important decision he's going to make. Because you know what? If they secure McLaurin, we'd be sending a clear message that we're ready to compete seriously. We'd be telling Jaden Daniels that we believe in him and that we'll give him the tools to succeed. We'd be telling the league that the Washington Commanders are here to stay. But if we don't, if we let this situation slip through our fingers, we'd be making the same mistake we've made so many times before. I'm telling you, we can't let that happen. Not this time. Not when we're so close to being something special. Do you know what the reality of the situation is? McLaurin deserves to be among the highest paid receivers in the league. Period. No debate. His numbers support it. His consistency supports it. His professionalism supports it. And any smart organization would do whatever it takes to keep him. Look, Commanders Nation. These 3 stories show us exactly where we are as a franchise. We have opportunities in the free agent market with players like Ojabo who could be hidden gems. We have to deal with controversies from former players. That remind us character matters more than talent. And we have to make critical decisions about our future with players like McLaurin, who define what it means to be a Washington commander. Do you think we should go after David Ojabo if Baltimore cuts him? What are your thoughts on the RGIII controversy and how he handled the whole situation? Are you nervous about McLaurin's contract situation? I need to know what you think. This is our community. This is our burgundy and gold family. Each of you is part of this conversation we're building together. I believe we can make this the #1 Commanders channel on the entire platform, if you're enjoying this content, if you feel like you're learning something new, if you feel like part of something special, hit that like button right now. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Join this family that grows every day. Leave your comments below. Tell me which of these stories is most important to you. Tell me what you expect to happen with McLaurin. Tell me if you think we should give Ojabo a chance. Tell me your opinions on RGIII, and if you still consider him part of the Commanders family. This conversation doesn't end here. And remember, family, hail to the Commanders.